Hey, welcome back. And in this video series, this is the first video that has to do with the inspection of the engine. So what I want you to do is as soon as you get there, do not start the engine. The reason why is because I prefer you not to be not working on, but inspecting a vehicle that's, is hot, and I just want to prevent you from getting burned or anything of that matter. So as soon as you get there, please do not start the engine. Just prefer you to be inspecting something that's cool, but maybe that vehicle that you're interested in, maybe a private seller that's, they're using the vehicle, and they really don't have a choice because it's probably their only vehicle that they're driving right now, and they're trying to sell it or whatever the case may be. Or maybe it's a dealer that, sometimes they may start the engine to, have it running, but for you, when you get there, don't start the engine. Just leave it as is, open the hood, and we're gonna continue to, go ahead and just do the inspection. So in this video, you're gonna learn to pinpoint the signs of an abused and neglected engine. Because Lord knows, some people out there, they do not take care of vehicles, whether that be a used uh, car dealership or maybe a private seller that has a vehicle for sale. A lot of people, they just know how to drive. Some people just know how to drive vehicles, and they just don't care. So in this video, I just want to educate you and prevent you from buying a used vehicle that's abused and neglected. So that's what we're going to work on. We're going to work on checking the oil level, check the belt, and so much more things that's attached to the engine that can possibly cause you to not have a great deal. The engine is the most, if not the most important thing that, that drives the motor. And if that's not any good, and it's just not panning out to be what it's supposed to be and running properly, you can have some really expensive costs to repair that engine. And we're just going to work on you getting to that level where you know how to inspect these vehicles and pinpoint where the troubles are before you even put any type of money down. So part one of the engine inspection, what you want to, what you're gonna do first and foremost is remove the oil cap. The oil cap has so much history in it, and we're gonna remove that oil cap, and what we're gonna be looking for is sludge. So let me kind of educate you of what sludge is. Sludge is buildup from a lack of maintenance of an engine, and that lack of maintenance could be oil change. Yeah, pretty much oil changes. And sometimes people don't do the oil changes like they're supposed to on time in a timely manner. So what happens is that oil loses its viscosity, and it begins to not protect the motor anymore, because now all you're running through that engine is just a chemical that's, is just worn out. So I just want to give you an example of what it looks like. Sludge right here at the lower bottom. This engine is so sludged up that it just kind of turns crystallized. And when these things become so crystallized, they have the potential to block major oil passages in the engine, and cause it to damage the engine. So what you want to look at here at the top is the normal sludge buildup of engine. You're going to have sludge. You're going to have some type of, buildup. But anything excessive to the point where it's major sludging, like the oil cap to your far right, is where you do not want to buy a used vehicle that has this type of, major sludging inside of it. So what you're going to want to look for is normal, minor sludging. So you're going to compare this cap, the first cap, the normal sludging, to any engine that you're inspecting, any used vehicle. You pull that cap off, you look at it, you inspect it, and you just make sure that none of these things are, going wrong with the engine. Because you can get the sludge out, but it's going to take some work. And I really, prefer for you not to get into that. We want to buy our used vehicle right the first time so that we can have better thought process about what it is that we're buying, because we know that we inspected it and it was, great. So just like I told you, whatever motor or engine that you're inspecting, any used vehicle that you're inspecting, if you see sludge, major sludging, even the minor sludging, I wouldn't even take any chances with. So if you see that, just whoever that person is, just tell them to have a nice day. Just say no, thank you. I saw some things that I didn't particularly like, and for that reason, I'm just gonna move on. Here's the thing, guys. You want to have an abundance mindset when it comes to in finding a used vehicle. There's so many vehicles. There's millions and millions of vehicles out there. Why, you know, why would you want to take a chance on something that's not good? Yes, it may take some work. Finding something great is going to take some work. So just take the time to just inspect the vehicle properly and remove that oil cap and look inside. All right, so the next part of the engine oil cap I want to talk to you about is looking for oil and water mixture inside of the oil cap. We're still on the oil cap. Um, the last image that you saw was just a different style oil cap. So this that you see here right now is also a different style oil cap, but they're both oil caps. So what you're going to want to do is also, when you have the oil cap removed, you're going to want to look inside to see if there's oil and water mixture. You're going to be looking for a milky substance, and if you see that, believe me, you're just going to want to give the keys back to that owner, the vehicle owner, and tell them to have a nice day. And so let me educate you a little bit on what that is and why it gets milky like that. So a lot of vehicles, they may have a blown head gasket, and a lot of people, they sometimes sell cars that are not in the best shape. They know that something is wrong with the vehicle, and they still try to pawn it off on customers. I've seen it happen many of times in the used vehicle business, and also when I was out shopping for a used car dealer. I mean, a used car from a private seller. So you want to make sure that you remove that oil cap and look inside. If you see anything that looks anything like these two images here, please, I'm telling you, do not waste your time. Do not let them talk you into saying that it's something else, because I've been in this business long enough to know exactly what that is. All caps are not supposed to be milky. If it is milky, that engine has major, major damage to it. And if not, you take a chance and you go ahead and buy that. Believe me, I'm telling you, you're going to have some real issues. So don't do it. You see it, move on. Remember the abundance mindset. There's millions and millions of vehicles out there, and we're not going to waste our time on our money that on a vehicle that's, doesn't quite make the list or make the cut. All right, so next, what I want you to do is while you have you're under the hood, you're going to remove the engine oil dipstick. And what you're going to be looking for is you're going to be checking the oil level, and you're also going to check the oil dipstick for oil and water mixture, like we talked about in the last video. If you see anything of that sort on the engine oil dipstick that you check the level, like I said again, you're gonna move on. You're gonna go to the next vehicle. You're gonna scratch that vehicle off your list. So you're gonna make sure the oil is at least clean, like we see here in the first image. It's clean or in between or even dirty. But if it's dirty and still at the limit, the level, the upper level in the hashes where it's supposed to be, then you know that motor is probably not leaking, because a lot of people, what they do is they just top off the motor and add oil to it to make it look like it's full, but it's actually maybe still leaking. But in the coming videos, I even show you how to check the vehicle to make sure it's not leaking any oil. So the most important thing in this lesson is to be sure that that dipstick that you pull out to check the oil doesn't have oil and water mixture on it. Like I said, remember, if it does, that engine has major damage to it. I also wanted to mention, if you're not sure of where some of these the oil dipstick is, or even the oil cap, just ask the owner of the vehicle or the used car dealer, and they'll be more than happy. I'm hoping they'll be more than happy to show it to you, so you can feel comfortable in what vehicle that you're trying to buy. All right. So next, we're going to inspect the radiator. But before we locate the radiator, I want to warn you. Warning only. I repeat, guys, only check the radiator cap on a cold engine. This is the reason why in the beginning of this video series, I told you not to start the engine, because I did not want you to end up with a engine that you were inspecting that was way too hot and possibly burn you in the process. So please, guys, please be cautious. Do not start the engine, and only check radiator cap on a cold engine. So what you want to do next now is locate the radiator. And if you're unsure of where that is, just ask the owner and they'll show you where the radiator is. And what we're going to do is inspect the radiator cap and inside of the radiator for oil and water mixture, milky substance. And we're also going to inspect the radiator cap inside of it for rust. These two things are so key to realize and recognize, to make sure that you're buying something that's not junk. So what you want to do is remove that radiator cap and look inside, and you want to make sure that there's no rust inside. You see that top image, the very first image at the top? If you find a vehicle that has rust in it, I'm telling you right now, give the keys back to the owner and tell them to have a nice day. Just like we talked about, you do not want to buy a vehicle with rust in it, because these vehicles that have rust in it, they have rust in it because of lack of maintenance. The customers, they don't keep the right protection material inside of the vehicle to prevent the rust from building up, and that's the reason why that happens. And in the last couple videos, we talked about oil and water mixture. You do not want to buy a vehicle that has oil and water mixture inside of the radiator. You want to make sure that you remove that radiator cap, look inside, and be sure that you look down into the radiator to make sure it doesn't look anything like the second image at the bottom. Please, guys, do not, I repeat, if you see this, hand the keys back to the owner and say, have a nice day. You saw some things that you were not particularly, you didn't like, and just be done with that vehicle, scratch it off your list, and you just move on to the next vehicle.